Hey everybody, Tom Potosnak here for episode 3 of Songs and Stories for Boomers and Xers. This one's called Uphill Ride. Now, when I was a kid, I loved music. I really enjoyed music, but I was more into sports. But when I was around 13, 14, I started to write lyrics and sing them, a little melody, put them on a cassette. As time went by, I grabbed my brother Wayne's acoustic guitar and started kind of plunking one string at a time, playing along. But never had any real musical aspirations, if you will. But that all changed on July 16th, 1981, when Harry Chapin, singer-songwriter Harry Chapin, was killed in a car accident on Long Island. And I had recently discovered Harry. My brother Wayne had an 8-track, Greatest Stories Live. And if you want the Harry Chapin primer, if you want to okay, I don't really know Harry, you would know him by Cats in the Cradle, his #1 hit. You might know him by Taxi. But if you get Greatest Stories Live, you would really get a good snapshot of what he was all about. And so I really enjoyed that 8-track. And but when he died, the night that he died, the WNEW-FM played a recording of his concert that he did at the Bottom Line in New York City about 8 months before his death, 7 months maybe, in celebration of his 2000th concert of performing. And honestly, I was just blown away. I was blown away. I was like, man, that's what I want to do. And honest to God, I used to write these little essays called Potosnak on ... And I wrote the singer-songwriter. And I said, I want to do that. I want to learn to play. I want to perform. I want to tell stories. And this is the way I wrote it. I was the heady days of youth. I want to touch the heart, engage the mind, and nourish the souls of as many people as I possibly can through my songs and stories. And, I was in college at the time, and I met some guys who were real musicians and started writing more and more songs. But I never really learned to play until I got out of college, and I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army. I'm down at Fort Benning, Georgia, and I bought a book. This book, How to Play the Guitar by Roger Evans. And I started to learn. And this song that you're going to hear right now is the first song that I ever wrote when I had a few chords under my belt. And it was, the story goes like this. I'm on a bus going from Columbus, Georgia to Atlanta. Fort Benning was in Columbus. And the bus stops in every dusty little town along the way. It's a 90-mile trip, but it takes forever. We pull into Macon, Georgia, and a young woman, mother, gets on the bus with a maybe 4-year-old boy. And behind them is this middle-aged woman. And although there's lots of open seats around, she decides to plop down next to me. I wasn't too thrilled, but I had a yellow legal pad because I thought on this trip, well, maybe I can come up with some lyrics and maybe write something. But nothing was coming to me. And after that, this little kid, he starts running up and down the aisle screaming, hey, man, doing all this. And I'm really at this point, because additionally, the lady next to me pulled out a big ball of yarn and knitting needles and proceeds to, kind of jab me here in the ribs with her elbows. And I've just had enough. Well, the kid's running up and down the aisle, and finally, he comes screaming down the aisle, and this woman next to me stands up, stops, looks him dead in the eye. Now, meanwhile, while this kid's been running around, his mother has been doing the completely ineffective 1, 2, but never getting to 3. You've heard it, I'm sure. Well, this woman stood up, stared this kid down, and said, if I were your mama, I'd skip all that 1, 2, 3 crap and go straight to the kick in the ass. And the kid sat down and just didn't say a word. And the young mother looked up and said, thank you. And then the lady sits down next to me again. And honest to God, I call it the songwriting angel. Songwriting angel has visited me a few times, and this was one of them, where a song just happens. And she started telling me her story. And this is it. It's called Uphill Ride. She said, I didn't think that I'd make this bus. I came in from South Bend last night. I had to stop and sleep along the way. It was a long ride. Yeah, as soon as I get her, I gotta turn around. Someday I'd like to stop and smell the roses, but I got a deadline to meet. Well, maybe another time, bus driver. Let's roll. Let's roll. Been 15 years since he left me. Been 13 since I began with this life. Kids are grown up, but they raise themselves most of the time. Been all over the country, 18 years down, 12 come back. Spent my youth making money, my body is giving it back. Been an uphill ride every step of the way, driving all night and half of the day, just making sure my kids make out okay so they can live their lives an easy way, yeah. Been across every blessed acre, the country all looks the same to me. Chicago, Atlanta, New York all look the same late at night. You know I've seen everyone in the whole human race. If I don't know their name, I know the face. I know the place of descent by listening to the accent. Been an uphill ride every step of the way, driving all night and half of the day, just making sure my kids make out okay so they can live their lives an easy way, yeah. Been an uphill ride every step of the way, driving all night and half of the day, just making sure my kids make out okay so they can live their lives an easy way, yeah. Oh, an easy way. Oh, an easy way. Oh, an easy way. She said to me, son, you know, I didn't think I'd make this bus. I came in from South Bend last night. I had to stop and sleep along the way. It was a long ride. Seems anywhere I ever go, I gotta turn around. Well, someday I'd like to stop and smell the roses, but I got deadlines to meet. Maybe another time, bus driver, we gotta roll on. We gotta roll. Now, you know, when you think about it, I love to talk about the old school sensibilities. Well, this woman, when she stood up, told that kid to sit down. You know, if that happened nowadays, I'm quite certain she would have been hauled off the bus, arrested, thrown in jail. The young mother, instead of saying thank you, would have sued, and we would have had a very different outcome. So see what I'm talking about when I talk about boomers and Xers and our sensibilities and the rest of the world. And there is one other thing I want to say to you. I mentioned Harry Chapin earlier. Another way that you really get to learn about the great Harry Chapin. He was much more than just a singer-songwriter. Watch the movie. It's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. It's called When in Doubt, Do Something. It's a documentary about Harry, and I've known people who weren't big Harry fans, didn't know anything about him, watched that, and they were transformed. So when in doubt, do something. Have a wonderful day.